teachings should be kind of like the willingness to achieve enlightenment for the sake of certain beings. That should be the kind of like intentions in order to becomes all this action of listening teachings and contemplating on its meaning and meditating upon its meaning. These all actions, if it is all these actions derived by this intention, then these all actions become that unmistaken course to achieve enlightenment. Therefore, we encouraging all the time, reminding this that generate this awakened mind before you listen this teaching, and then conduct that kind of like in short we can say like try to kind of say give your ear to the words of the teaching, the sounds of the teaching, and then whatever you understood through this word, the meaning, and try to hold it, try to memorize it, and try to maintain it, all those meaning, and even if possible, even those words. And then meanwhile, try not to mix with any of those emotions while you're listening these teachings. Like that at the beginning you may generate this awakened mind. Then sometimes if we kind of like change our motivation to just to kind of like gain some knowledge, just to gain some knowledge, so I may become like a scholar, or I may become like a Buddhist scholar or fame or whatsoever. And then likewise, not only that, but also mixing some others kind of like emotion, such as like those kind of like pride or jealous or the competitive sense or the attachment, and then they hate it. And these emotions that we need to remove as much as we could while we're listening these teachings, because if we generate these kind of emotions while we're listening teachings, then it is just becomes like that delicious food. It's mixed with the poisons. That the teachings, which is kind of like a delicious food, that you are having it right now, and then by having at the same time, by having all those emotions, then you are kind of like a mixing the poisons with your this delicious food. So this delicious food doesn't really work its purpose. So these are the conduct that we should mindful during this listening teachings. And then that we begin this Bodhicharyavatara, which has this 10 chapter and 4 main hymn. We are in the first hymn, that which Shantideva was trying to instruct us or guide us how one could generate this awakened mind, and how one could receive this Bodhisattva's vow, from chapter number 1 to chapter number 3, that it's talking about all this. Then chapter number 1 mainly talking about its potential, that its benefit of having this awakened mind. And then after aware about its benefit, then think that which is really beneficial in order to have it this within oneself, and how one should prepare. Then it is chapter number 2 that instructing that this is the way that you should prepare to have it these beneficial things. And then keep continuing even in the chapter number 30 also. But the mainly the chapter number 30 is to guiding the rest of the other preparation, and especially this mind training, that since this awakened mind is some sort of like an unconditional unconditional altruism, kind of like a compassion. So therefore, in order to have this kind of awakened mind, the unconditional altruism, so it's very important for us to prepare in this way, to train your mind with the understanding that what are the things that very directly obstruct us to have this awakened mind. So which is that Shandadeva was instructing that you should train your mind training, that let it go, or the kind of like a offer your things for the others, those three things, that your belongings, and then your kind of like a knowledge, qualities, share with the others, and prepare to let it go for the others, your quality and your knowledge and your belongings. And then most important thing is that prepare yourself to let it go, which is the very source to obstructing us to have this awakened mind, is the not being able to letting it go, our this really kind of like an important body, that give up this for the sake of others. In that way, you should train your mind first. And when you train your mind to give up these three things, then there will be not such a difficult and obstructions that you will gonna occur to degenerate this awakened mind. Otherwise, if you have these three things, if you have these three attachment, and then that really bothers for you to be able to generate this awakened mind. Even you say you are able to generate it, but it really obstructs and disturbs us to maintain it. So with that, he also guide us that how to prepare, how to train your mind in order to have this awakened mind within yourself. And then after that, an actual awakened mind, how to receive it with the two stanza that which we completed last week, that stanza number 23 and the stanza number 24. That stanza number 23 is the example, and then the stanza number 24 is the actual your kind of like the way of receiving it. This is the ritual to receive the Bodhisattva vow. That, and then the ritual that within this showing this within this two stanza, the how to receive Bodhisattva's vow within oneself, and this is the way to receive the aspiration Bodhisattva vow and then obligation Bodhisattva's vow. Either there's no difference. And in this way, also we say this is the Nagarjuna tradition, that it has this ritual to receive both vow together. But also what we need to understand at the same time is, but it is very individual decision that whether you wanna take both vow or just one vow. Even though the ritual, the technique of taking one vow is the same. For example, like if you are not ready for taking the application for the Bodhisattva's vow, so you are just prepared and ready to take an aspiration Bodhisattva's vow. But the ritual is not different. This is the same ritual you have to do, kind of like read 3 times, And at the end, then you may need to generate this, oh, now I receive kind of like that kind of intention that now I receive Bodhisattvas. Wow. Putting them as an example and putting them as a witness, those triple gems. And then either you just receive aspiration Bodhisattva vow or together, both application Bodhisattva vow. That's we have a choice. That also we need to understand. But the ritual itself, there's no different. That you need to understand. It can be make difference by your willing, your intention, which one you want to take. Only one or both. And then here we went through, and in those precepts, step by step, I will abide and train myself. Now that how one can train, how one can, step by step, that one can abide and train myself. What does it mean? And then step by steps, that one thing I told you already, that this is the only ritual that it can take both vow, but it depends on your decision, that which how much you are ready, prepare it to receive this vow. So accordance with your capability, then you can take just one, the first one, aspiration Bodhisattvas vow. And that is also the one way of practicing step by step. That step by step also could understand in this way. But the mainly here, the step by step means now that this Bodhisattva vow, when we say vow, it is kind of like a morality, or the discipline, that you are committing something, that you are committing that I will, generally just taking a Bodhisattva's vow, that we could say that you are committing yourself to not give up even a single sentient beings willing to benefit. Not giving up to willing to benefit even a single sentient beings, no, regardless who they are. And that is what that generally taking Bodhisattva vow is kind of like a committing in this way yourself. And then the step by step, when we say the step by step, there are those things that that we need to understand this. Within this morality, actually it is morality, the vow. Within this morality, there are three kind of like a level. There are three kind of stages. That first is the moral of refrained from mistake. That's the one. And then the moral of gather virtuous dhamma, or moral of collect virtuous action. That's the second one. Second of this moral of Bodhisattva's vow. And then the third one is the kind of like the moral of the benefiting beings, or the moral of acting for the sake of others. There are these three levels are there in this practice. So the kind of like but basically maintaining this aspiration bodhicitta, it has to be there. Without that, there's no way that person could become a bodhisattva. And this is the really kind of like how to say, this is the kind of like a very differentiating that whether persons is bodhisattvas or not. If you don't have this aspiration bodhicitta, then you are not bodhisattvas. That's the identifications, that how one can understand whether one is bodhisattvas or not. This is the kind of like a very, how can I say now, this Manti Sanjam, kind of like a, at the least, in order to become oneself bodhisattvas, at the least, that awakened mind, one should have it. Regardless whether one can practice those kind of like a moral of gathering virtuous dharma and the moral of benefiting others completely right now or not. But somehow that in deep your heart, that willing that you must have it. And without that, there's no way that one can call the bodhisattvas. That's clear. And then now, step by step here, I'm trying to describing what's the meaning and how to practice this step by step. Then we need to understand these three types of moral is there within this moral, within this bodhisattva's path. So the first is moral of the refrained from misdeed. That now it can including actually all the non-virtuous actions. All the non-virtuous actions can become cause and conditions for oneself to lose this aspiration bodhicitta. So therefore, at the really beginning, and trying to training oneself with this, with the committing and having this aspiration bodhicitta, but starting with this, refraining from misdeed. And then when you feel a little bit confident on it, then kind of like the level of dharma, or the which is moral of collect virtuous actions. And that generally again, that all the virtuous action and even the tiny virtuous actions that we cannot kind of like look down and slide, that this doesn't help anything, this is small. For example, like how can we say that just paying one homage with the prostrations, and then just offering one single flower, and these are nothing the virtuous compared with the kind of like those great virtues. And having that kind of the what do you call it, if one consider that this is something nothing, that there is a better, that I should try to get those things, even though right now in front of you this is all you can do it, but still you are chasing something very high, and then which is a little bit beyond your capability. But what you can really do, it's just in front, but you are not doing it, you are ignoring it. And that kind of thing is also can what do you call it, break this bodhisattva's vow. And then once do it to cultivate it and accumulate it, this even from the tiny small virtues and towards all the great virtues. And then once one can one become little familiar and confident on it, then one can move to the another level of the morale, which is kind of like acting for the six. That way we can practice step by step, but willing that we must keep it from the beginning, that your capability is only to avoid this misstate. So therefore, you are practicing only trying to avoid the misstate, because you cannot do both together here, because your capability is little kind of like a, let's say, for example, like a little weak, that you are not being able to do both together. Then when you are not being able to do both together, then that's how you choose. But at the same time, also you need to understand that it does not mean that you don't need that awakened mind, the willingness to, let's say, help each and every sentient beings. That should be the base, as I told you earlier. Without that, the person is losing the identifications of bodhisattvas. But when we really practice, and then we are practicing with our own, keeping that sense in bottom, but when we really practice, and then we're practicing this step by step, that's how you can practice. And then also, like, one can take the only aspiration bodhisattva's vow, and then practice this only aspiration bodhisattva's vow with the four immeasurable kind of like a meditation, mind training to build and develop that aspirations bodhisattva. And then when you become very confident on this, that when you gain some sort of like a confidence that now I will not going to lose this aspiration bodhisattva, then you can take the next application bodhisattva's vow. And then from there, you can start practicing this all 6 paramitas. And even 6 paramitas that one have to practice start from generosity. That is also a step by step. First start the generosity practice, and then morality practice, and then patient practice, and then diligent, and then meditation, and then wisdom. And these are also step by step. Right? How those Buddhas and Bodhisattvas in the past, how they engaged it in this spiritual path of Mahayana, which is Bodhisattva's way, that how they engaged it in the past, same way that I will also going to engage step by step. So these are the means that step by step. In short, that what I'm trying to telling you is what does it mean that here it's saying step by step, I will abide and train myself. And this is it. And then the misdeed and those precepts that maybe I'll gonna tell tomorrow about all this, it comes accordance with it in stanza. So now, in this way, that one could receive this bodhisattva's vow, and then one can also engage into this way of bodhisattva's life step by step, that as I mentioned earlier. So here the point that when this stanza number 4, when that ritual completed, which means now you received it bodhisattva's vow, which means that you received bodhisattva's vow, and then now from here, that after you receive bodhisattva's vow, then that Shantideva is saying that now it is worth for yourself to enjoy by being able to generate this awakened mind, being able to receive this bodhisattva's vow, that it is worth to joy by yourself. And that's now Shantideva's from here. This is stanza number 25 to stanza number until this 33. That stanza number 25 to 23, Shantideva is kind of like a instructing that since you receive this bodhisattva vows accordance with its ritual, then after that you can joy yourself by having it. And in order to joy yourself, you may enjoy in this way by thinking in this way. Those who thus with the clear intelligence take hold of the awakened mind with the bright and lucid joy, that they may now increase what they have gained, should lift their heart with the praise such as this. It's all related now. You need to relate it with each other. That's how you can enjoy yourself. You can praise yourself. Kind of like a, this is kind of like a now here, pride and the joys that we need to understand. I always saying these are a little bit. There is a kind of like a could be misunderstand between these two emotions, these two sense, because these two sense is very similar, pride and then joy. Normally what I'm saying is joy is the sense that when you have it, it doesn't prevent you to do it again. And then the pride, the sense, when you have it, pride by receiving after, for example here, after I received this bodhisattva, then I pride myself. Then I'm kind of like telling myself, now this is enough, finish. That sense, it makes like that different. The joy, it gives you the sense of pleasure, but also gives you the sense of kind of like a strength to willing to continue. And pride is some sort of like a that you may stop a little bit in that moment, and until you saw somebody who is greater than you, then you may start again. This pride will force you to develop again, go further again. Until then, you may feeling satisfaction. Okay, now this is enough. I done. But these two senses are very kind of like a similar, that one could may make mistake by these two senses, the joy and the pride. So that Shandidevas in this, how it is saying in Tibetan is like this is stanza number 25, which I read it. What it really means, in this way, that intelligent person who took it, this bodhisattva's vow, which is kind of like a lucid, which is kind of like a lucid or the pure. It is pure mind. Now you see that within this awakened mind, when we very carefully look, it is very pure mind. It doesn't have a hatred involved in there. It doesn't have a desire involved in there. It doesn't have a selfish involved there. It doesn't have a jealous involved there. It doesn't have a pride involved there. And then doesn't also within that mind doesn't let involve stinginess, kind of like a stinginess as well. And then this kind of like a mind also helps you to not kind of like a pride by your capability and your youthness and your good look and your wealth. And these are the things really gives rise emotion within us. Yes, when somebody doesn't lack anything, they just generate some sort of like emotion that, oh, I am something special. When you say I am something special, this contradicts with the body's awakened mind. Awakened mind doesn't accept this I am something special. I am something special and awakened mind together, there's no way it will gonna remain in one stage. And everybody has to kind of like a what you call concern about me or the worry about me, like that kind of emotion. And simply what I'm trying to say is that here what it mentioned, that a vacant mind itself is the mind with the bright and lucid. What does it mean? Here they put a joy together. I think lucid joy, that shouldn't put together, I think. When it put together lucid joy, what you understand? What you're getting by it?
Clarity, brightness.
Joy? Lucid joy. Kind of like that. Actually, in Tibetan, in this stanza, there's a no joy word within this stanza. Said what? Okay, let me explain that what it is trying to explaining, that how Shantideva is trying to explaining this stanza number 25. That person, whoever, in this way, that which he guided before, how to receive the Bodhisattva's power. In this way, with the intelligent mind, that whoever took it and holded this awakened mind, which is lucid, pure. This is what he's saying. This is pure, lucid. And why it is pure and lucid, as I mentioned earlier, this is what it means. That with this mind is very lucid and pure. And then understand that awakened mind itself is very lucid mind, pure mind, that which you generated and which you are trying to holding it right now. And then after you try to hold it, and then later and even in a later after that, also to develop your this awakened mind, and then you may can praise your mind in this way. This is what it's saying. You may, it is worth, and you may can praise your mind in this way. And then this is stanza number 12, the 26. That how this way, and then that's how you should praise your mind. That today my life has given fruit. This human state has now been well assumed. Today I take my birth in Buddha's line and have become the Buddha's child and here. That's the one way of praising your mind. Thank you, Dasadeva. Actually, now what Shantideva was saying is, from that really moment when you receive the Bodhisattva's vow, from that on, thank you, that's it. And from that moment and on, that your life has become some sort of like a fruitful life, meaningful life. That and then you are also utilizing the precious human rebirth in a very excellent way. And then also today I, how to say now, belongs to the kind of like a noble beings. That I'm belonging to the noble beings. That's how you can praise your mind. And now I am becoming the prince of the Victoria one. Sanjay says, one way of praising your mind in this way. So now that from that moment on, that my life became a kind of like a fruitful. This is something also like here that Guru Rinpoche also mentioning this, that that what he is mentioning within this three stanza is that first he is saying this first line, he is saying this precious human rebirth is something hard to obtain, hard to gain. And then it is very impermanent, so death could be happened anytime, anywhere. So when that death happens, if the person doesn't have any spiritual training, then it becomes returning back with the empty hand. You see? Therefore, now here, Shantideva, what is saying? The person who try to generate awakened mind, try to hold this, maintain this awakened mind, and that is not becoming like a returning empty hand now. Therefore, he is saying this, that today my life has given a fruit. You are not returning back empty hand. You already began, and then especially this already began to accumulate this great amount of merit, which is through this Mahayana spiritual path. Therefore, it is saying that that's how you are praising yourself, and then that's at the same time you are enjoying. You are kind of like a generating sense of joy within yourself. That how to say, being able to generate this within oneself. On the other hand, also say that because it makes this precious human rebirth is excellent. That now these are so actually serious here now. That persons who begin at this vow and then who's trying to maintain this vow, and from their own it start to become their human. That we need to understand very clear that sometimes when we describe this, strange that sometimes some people feel some, what is talking about, how it becomes. There's no obvious, there's no form to see it. They don't really take this serious. Actually, these are so serious talking about. That are so kind of like giving you some sort of like a strengthen or the confident. And these strengthening and confident is not just kind of like a sweet talk. It is reality. It is fact. That's how should practice oneself, a spiritual path. This is it. A spiritual path doesn't have any other form than this kind of things. This is it, the spiritual path, which has, in general, I can say that, which has this power or the potential to bring kind of like in general, mental comfort. These are the training. These are the spiritual path. This is it. That's why now Shantideva, he himself practicing, and then how he is now letting us, if someone completed until this ritual and took this vow, excellent. You are worth to praise your mind. This is what he's saying. Why? Because from that moment on, your life has become fruitful. And then your precious human become excellent. You are utilizing in excellent. You are not wasting your precious human rebirth. This is it. You are not wasting if you're doing it this. In one way, these are simple. Just kind of like dealing with the mental. You don't need anything else. You don't need so many things to practice this. You can practice this from anywhere, anytime. Very flexible. And at the same time, you need to also understand its worth through all these instructions. That how those great bodhisattvas, they praising themselves by having this. And same way, if I generated this, I also become same way like them. That I'm also becomes the worth and how to say, be able to praise my mind by having this. And then also that from this moment on, you are kind of like it belongs to the kind of like a noble beings. That one way actually we everybody looking at actually, isn't it? The fact we are really looking at this. Most of us always that have this intention that may I belongs to the good person. May I belongs to the good neighbor. Even we wish that. I want to stay in good neighbors. If I stay in a bad neighbors, and people will look at me down. See? And then belonging to those noble which makes you belongs to the noble person, then you're becoming a very good person. Which is normally we have that intention. Even small things, as I said earlier, that I want to stay in good neighborhood, not the bad neighborhood. And I always want to kind of like belongs to the kind of like a intelligent person, successful person. Like that kind of feeling normally we have. But anyhow, so the things that which this bodhisattvas vow really makes you to belong to that noble person. That's why also you are worth to praise your mind by having it. And then you also now begin to achieve the Buddhahood from there. Therefore, it is saying now you became the child and heir of Buddha. This is normally example is like a prince and the king. And when you become prince, then sooner or later you will going to become a king. And then also another way of praising. Sanjay says without your doors. And then the stanza number 27. And then after praising your mind, then that's how you should generate the steadiness to willing to maintain that which makes you praisable. That in every way, then I will undertake activities benefiting such a rank, and I will do not act to mar or compromise this high and faultless lineage. Okay, so how it is mentioning this stanza number 27, it's like a Tani dagi chininda. Then from now on, after you praising your mind in this way, then you should also have this steadiness. You should also generate this steadiness in this way. And from that moment on, that I should act accordance with the where I belong. Which means now you are belonging to a noble person, which means bodhisattvas. Now you should generate this steadiness that I should act accordance with the who am I, what my responsibility is. And then you should generate this steadiness to make sure that not to kind of like not to mass your this kind of like your this that what do you call it? from that moment on, you are kind of like a becoming kind of like a the what do you call it? That which is stainless, the which that since you, as we talked earlier, that since we generated this awakened mind, which is lucid, pure, stainless, and you are now you are on the stage right now, lucid stage. Your mind is in a pure stage. And now you should make sure to not become it mass. That you should generate the standardness yourself, that I will make sure to not make this pure mind mass. That's how you should praise yourself. Also, this next stanza, long way chadar kumbule jida venchenya ba deshin chishita bena chanjusan jidala days. And this is some sort of like a very fortunate kind of like a you get this without kind of like a notice even that it is saying. That how it is saying, for I am like a blind man who has found a precious gem inside a heap of dust. For so it is by some strange chance that bodhicitta has been born in me. That way also you can increase your mind. That being able to find this bodhicitta within oneself, it's equal to example using that some blind person who found a gem from the kind of like a dust or from the garbage. Which means it is some sort of like a Shantideva is trying to letting us understand how fortunate you are by having this, having finding this, finding this. That's how you should praise your mind. And you should feel how you're fortunate. And then this really bodhisattva's vow, if you maintain it, then here it's talking about its potential benefit. That doi chida jomji bi duzi chogyang dinos, doi ulwaselwa miseterian dinos. Then now it is from 29 stanza, it's talking about its beneficial, another beneficial. That after you praise your mind by having this opportunity, then why it is worth to praise your mind in this way. That also this is the supreme dark of immortality that slays the lord of death, the slaughterer,
They kill.
Just slaughter, not slaughterer. There's a R-E-R.
Yeah, slaughter. A person who killed.
Slaughterer of being. The rich, unfailing treasure mine to heal the poverty of wanderers. It's showing two benefits, okay? We should look these two benefits. First two line is one, and a second two line is another. That first two line, it's what Shantideva was instructing us to understand is that since you have this bodhisattva's vow and maintaining this bodhisattva's vow, this really bodhisattva's vow that which you maintaining, It is equal to a nectar, supreme nectar, which really destroys, slays the Lord of death. It can destroy that. Which means this really Bodhicitta can lead you towards liberation and enlightenment. And from there, you are beyond death. You don't need to experience all this, what we are experiencing right now. So this is the thing, secret thing in Buddhist Mahayana. This is the exactly secret thing which providing this potential. And you should understand this. Which give us the deathlessness. Go beyond death. And which means go beyond birth, old age, sickness, everything. If there's no death, there's no birth. And you are freed from cyclic existence. This really awakened mind has this power for you to freed from this cyclic existence. That's what it says. One thing. And then also, and this one thing not only does that job, but also it does. But also what it does is that it can also remove your poverty. The person who practices this bodhisattva, awakened mind and maintaining bodhisattva's vow, never has to undergo this poverty. It does not mean that, poverty is based on whether he have things or material things or not. It's not mentioned. Poverty is that based on that what he really needs, he have or not. If he really have whatever he wants, that person is not poor. Poor is actually could also become those rich person that they have everything, but still they didn't satisfy. They still kind of like generate the sense of kind of like not enough. That's poor. When you don't have enough what you need, you're poor. Regardless how material things you have or not, doesn't matter. When you have everything, whatever you want, you are rich. Therefore, Shantideva was saying, this same bodhicitta also remove your poverty. Not having a sense of contentment. That is the treasure that continuously provides whatever you needed. This is the treasure. You have it now. You should recognize it. And then also, now again, not only that, Shantideva keep continue going. Silam Kamshin Dubai drawing Masu Junjian Yin. Yin means this is it, that, this is it, that, this is it, that. He's saying, kind of like. How he is saying that two things he already said, right? This is it. If you have it, it can justify your death. It can free you from your death. This is it. And then this is also it, that if you have it, it removes your poverty. The main reason of removing your poverty is that things that which you have it. You should recognize it. And then also, this is stanza number 29. This is the 30, sorry. Stanza number 30. It is the sovereign remedy that perfectly allays all maladies. This is it. You should recognize it. When you have it, you begin to cure your maladies. You already started from there. It also gives you the allays, right? What called allays? Allays, and also the maladies. Remove all maladies. Malady is kind of like isn't it the source of disease?
It's a fever, the sickness.
It's a fever.
Yeah, it's the bệnh sốt rét á. Maladies là tất cả những bệnh tật. Malady is a
sickness.
It's a sickness.
The source of sickness, isn't it? Just sickness, or it can go to the source. No source, just sickness. Yeah. Okay. So that what Shantideva was saying is, this is the supreme medicine which can cure all the beings' diseases. It can allay all diseases, all maladies. And then also, it is the tree that gives relief to those who wander wearily the pathway of existence. It is equal to the persons who are so tired by walking so long, and then finding some trees in the very hot weather, finding some tree and resting under that tree. And this Bodhicitta is also like you found some tree to rest underneath. That you should recognize it. Silam Khamshi Dubai that actually what it is really saying is that we are so, how to say, verily, yeah, tired, right? Wearily. That we are so wearily by wandering into this cyclic existence. The cyclic existence actually is in Silam Khamshi Dubai. That we are wandering so long in this cyclic existence that we got so frustrated by it, wearily by it, that as soon as you found this Bodhicitta at that moment, it is equal that you found some tree that where you can rest under. And then also, and then also, it is the universal bride that saves all wandering beings from the state of loss. As soon as you have this awakened mind and maintaining this vow, and you are no more belonging to the loss. But what really it is mentioning is that what Shantideva was saying, this is it, the Bodhicitta, the Bodhisattva's vow, maintaining it, is the kind of like a liberating all the sentient beings from the falling in lower realms. To liberate all the sentient beings from the falling in lower realms, is the thing that if you keep it, you can liberate many sentient beings from following into lower realms. And also, this is it, the Bodhicitta, that if you maintain it, that it will really helps us to remove those all afflictive emotions. then it is just like within your mind that the, how to say, light of the moon is shined, which means now your mind became bright since then. And it is also equal to the sun, that which can remove the darkness. Likewise, that this Bodhicitta, the person who is maintaining and keeping this vow, and that person already began to remove their darkness, and then they are ignorant. They already began to remove their ignorance, and then the blurry confusion. And then now, tamshu omasu bale margin in kuchunga in the raising moon of the enlightened mind, that sorrow born of the afflictions. And then it is the mighty sun that utterly dispels the misty ignorance of wandering beings. So you see, this one thing can do so many things, can provide us so many different potentials. And then now the creamy butter, rich and full, that's churned from milk of holy teachings. I don't know what is this now. Here what it is saying, like actually now what Shantideva really instructing is that the person who is founded this awakened mind and who is generating this, how you should feel you should praise your mind and you should feel joy. And then this is stanza number 33, sorry. Devi again, that living beings, how can I say this? Wayfarers upon life's paths, who wish to test the reach of contentment. Here before you is the supreme bliss. Here, O ceaseless travelers, is your fulfillment. I don't really understand this.
Wayfarers is like a person who was on a journey.
Kind of like a traveler, yes, right?
Wayfarers, that's what I have here. Like a person who walking on the path.
Yeah, it also sometimes implies somebody who's a bit lost.
It is kind of like Lam because that those beings are just like a guest in this cyclic existence. They are very temporary, right? We all very temporary. We always move from human to another human or human to another being. We just keep move. We are very temporary guests in this cyclic existence. This cyclic existence householder never hold us forever. He will kick us out one day, for sure. Therefore, we are just like a wandering in this cyclic existence. We are very temporary guests for this. Then persons who are wandering temporarily in this cyclic existence, if they want to enjoy or to utilize the bliss and happiness, then what Shantideva was saying, this is it, will provide you the supreme joy. You should maintain it. Now this is very nearby you. You should recognize it. You should hold it. This is the thing fulfilled all your wishes. That great guest will gonna satisfied by having it. For the great guest or whatsoever guest. A guest who is wandering in this cyclic existence, if they wanna really enjoy the bliss of it, and this is it, the source that you have is the supreme source of supreme joy. So you should recognize it, just hold it. These are the things you should understand the value of this awakened mind, and then feel joy yourself. And then now this last stanza, it is kind of like a Shengawakumba. It is like now that I generated this awakened mind. And now you are allowed to joy, because I am now being your servant. You got a servant. You got a slave. That slave who will do whatever you want. And then also long term here, very long term. Not just 1 day slave, 1 year slave, 1 life slave. Now this final stanza here. And so today, within the sight of all protectors, I summon beings, calling them to Buddhahood. Until that state is reached, to every earthly joy, may gods and demigods and all the rest rejoice. This is funny now here again. I can give you this example to understand this stanza. That how those presidents, when they are asking vote, what they dream. Actually, this is exactly their dream. They promise, I will give you this. You should feel joy to having me in you. It's the same actually now. Right? That you are promising, committing yourself that I will serve you. So now you feel joy because you got a slave. You can ask whatever you want, right? Just similar like this, the presidential campaign. Just similar like that in one way. They were gonna say something. They didn't did anything, right? They promise. They commit. I'll do this to your estate, do this to you, do this to your public, do this to vote me. You are lucky to having me here. They say that. Now this is a little bit similar like that. You are saying that. Oh, now you should feel joy because now I'm taking your responsibility. I'm taking responsibility for you to freed from this cyclic existence. And then not just that time-wise also, not like this president. I will fulfill your wishes only during my president, like 4 years or something. Now the time-wise is I will lead you towards the Buddhahood, right? Buddhahood. That's it, right? I summon beings, calling them to Buddhahood, putting those Triple James, the protector, as a witness. I'm not just committing somewhere, nothing by myself. I'm committing, putting those great masters as a witness. Then I'm committing that I will take responsibility to each and every individual sentient beings to lead them to Buddhahood. And then until that state is reached, to every earthly joy, may gods and demigods and all the rest rejoice. What is that now? That's what I got confused here a little bit. Here, what it is saying, like, what it really means is, from today, that as soon as I receive this Bodhisattva's vow, from this very moment, and then in this very day, today, that I am putting those Buddhas and Bodhisattvas that to whom I pay venerate, I pay respect, putting them as a witness that I'm committing in front of them, in front of them, all the sentient beings, I will gonna take responsibility to lead them to complete Tathagat state. The Sheikh Nidames. And then further they'll attend the business. Until I lead them, each and every sentient beings, to Tathagat state. Until that I also taking responsibility to serve you, whatever for the temporary benefit as well. Not just only that. Also for the temporary benefit. Until that, I also taking responsibility to provide the happy to others. Dela, pardu dela. During the person days. So therefore, you all God, demigod, and rest, like human and animals whatsoever. If you joy after this, it is worth to joy after this, because I'm taking this responsibility for you. So that's how now Shantideva's kind of like a letting oneself to please one mind by being able to generate this awakened mind, being able to hold this Bodhisattva's power, with the instructing what kind of beneficial or the potential that you can achieve by having this with you. And that way, it becomes worth to praise your mind by having it. If there's no any fruit, then it's not worth to praise your mind in this way. But yes, when you understand the awakened mind itself, then yes, it does all this. It provides all those fruition that what Shantideva described it. So understand those things and then praise to your mind. And then feel joy yourself. And then generate a standardness to make sure not to make mass this pure mind, which I already have it right now. I think so. No, today we just stop here. Complete this third chapter. Now with that we completed the one important theme of way of Bodhisattva's life. Now we have only 3 left. Okay, so now if you have a question, we can discuss it. What?
How do we practice this every moment in our life? How do we practice bodhicitta? Besides the like every day we raise in our mind that okay, every day I will try my best to benefit other beings. But besides that, what do we do in every moment of our life?
Yeah, that's That's why I defined you at the very beginning that what does it mean. I told you at the beginning that what does it mean by step by step.
Nghe học là mỗi ngày sáng mình thức dậy nhiều
Keep that willing
tác hại
sense of how to say willing to achieve enlightenment for the sake of other beings. That that sense is very important, as I told you. That sense is the thing that which makes that person whether he or she is bodhisattvas or not. And then top of maintaining this sense, then first step is to engaging into this the moral of refraining from mistake, right? Which means kind of like trying to avoiding all the non-virtuous activity. That's the one way you can practice. But at the same time, also now that you don't worry about those neutral thought. Neutral thought, it really doesn't disturb to break this vow. Such as like just eating, working, sleeping. This doesn't disturb to break through this bodhisattva's vow. That you need to understand also that then how you can make sure yourself that you are maintaining that vow or not is that tomorrow I will tell you those precepts. That when you didn't come across any of those precepts after taking this bodhisattva's vow, that means you are still maintaining that. You are still practicing spiritual. You are still achieving all those benefits what Shantideva just explained it. You are still gaining all those things. So did you get married? Sonam de damje zivani, domne nyeben danam hanje, jiga nachi walong tubai, sibin solen doan doan shu, jidara kembana, kundo zambo, dean dejin, jada kunji, jesu, galoji, gewan nida tamje rabdo mo, gewan di ishio, chanam ishi to, chanam ishi lejung, tamba. Sure, Sanjay Kusum Yabeshan Nala, Chuni Mindur Dimbation, Yandin Michi Dimbation Nala, Chitaram Nalam Show. You needed that English.
by this beneficial
Loud. Everybody has to hear.
You lead in English.
No, do it.
By this beneficial activity, may I obtain omniscience, and having vanquished the harmful enemies, greed, anger, delusion, may I liberate all beings, tossed about helplessly by the waves of birth, aging, illness, and death in the ocean of becoming. By comforting to the knowledge, courage, Manjushri, Champayan, and in the same way as Sanjaya, Kuntu Zambo, and following their example, I dedicate perfectly all this virtue. By this virtue, may all beings perfectly achieve the accumulation of merit, sona, and wisdom, Yishe. And may they thereafter obtain the two holy bodies which result from these two accumulations. By the blessings of the Buddha Sanjay, who obtained the three bodies, by the blessings of the immutable truth of Dharma, Juni, by the blessings of the infallible aspirations of the Sangha, Yajna, may this prayer of dedication be accomplished just as it is.
Yeah.
And may they thereafter obtain the two holy bodies which result from these two accumulations. Yeah, so we accumulate merits and wisdom, and we attain the two holy bodies, which is the which body?
Dharmakaya and Rupakaya.
Rupakaya.
Rupakaya is
Cái pháp thân và cái
called both Sambhogakaya and Nirmanakaya is Rupakaya.
So in the
Form. Dharmakaya doesn't have form, right? So therefore this is the result of wisdom. Wisdom doesn't have a form. And then the what do you call it? The merit, which has a form, that which we're doing it. And then its result also has a form, like those Sambhogakaya and Nirmanakaya's form. Rupakaya, in short.
So the
Dharmakaya and
include
Rupakaya.
all the three.
Two.
The two. Rupakaya include the
Rupa means, Rup means actually in Hindi, Rup means body.
Body.
Yeah, form.
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 Form and formless.
Yeah.
Buddha body. Form and formless of Buddha body.
I'm sure you can say that.
And Dhammakaya is formless. The Rupakaya is the form one. When we say the form one would include the
Form one.
Nirmakaya.
Form Rupakaya is the result of the merit.
Yeah.
And then Dharmakaya is the result of the wisdom. That's we're making aspirations here. Because within this merit, we can make both. Within this listening teaching. Within this listening teaching, we can have both merit and wisdom.
Yes.
Together.
Ý thầy nói nghe hỏi là tại sao thân thấy phải là thân gì, thì bởi vì là mình tiếp tục hai cái loại công đức, một loại là
We need to wait for now.